Have you ever booted up a game and just immediately felt nothing?
Nothing.
Technically, it was impressive. Maybe it had good lighting, it had a good gameplay loop, but you didn't think about it a day later. You don't think about it when you're driving down the road or when you're going to bed. You just don't really carry it with you at all. When I was 9 years old, my cousin had a demo disc from Pizza Hut for Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1. There was only one level on it, and it was the warehouse. And the only song I remember was Superman, and it played on repeat. We played that level probably 400 times in a row. And when I left my cousin's house, all I did was think about that game. The best games, I think they already happened. For me, it was between 1994 and 2012. And I don't think this is just nostalgia goggles. I think this is pattern recognition, and I'll explain in this video, or I might not. I really don't know where this is going. But first, I did a quick Google search for the golden age of gaming, and Wikipedia says that the golden age of gaming was from the late 70s to the 80s. And look, I'm sorry, but that sounds ridiculous to me. I know that I'm like an aging millennial, but how could you even say this today? Have you ever had anybody come up to you and be like, man, you know what game will change your life? Frogger. Ever since I played Space Invaders, I had a whole different outlook on religion and my relationship with my father. So I think the best games do three things. They hit you at the right time of your life, they set a standard that other games try to copy, and they age like fine wine, not milk. And that's it. When I was a kid, my parents used to take me to a Pizza Inn, and if you don't know what a Pizza Inn is, it's kind of like a Pizza Hut, but they were just in the southeastern United States. I remember this one, it had very moody lighting, it had the red cups, all-you-can-eat pizza buffet, and these chocolate chip pizza that was, it was good. And in the back, they had a little tiny arcade room with like Pac-Man and a Super Mario Brothers arcade cabinet. And at the time, I thought it was the coolest thing. But the real moment was when I was in preschool. I went to spend the night at my friend Zach's house, and I remember we watched the movie Sandlot, and then afterward, Zach showed me his Super Nintendo with Super Mario All-Stars. It broke my brain. I had no idea that you could just have something like that in your house. And we played Super Mario Brothers 2 all night. Well, at least until we had to go to bed because we were like 5 years old. We had good parents. When I got home, I told my parents about it, and all I wanted for Christmas that year was a Super Nintendo. And Christmas Day came, and I did not see a Super Nintendo. I thought that Santa Claus was pulling some kind of sick joke. And then my parents hit me with oh, well, maybe Santa Claus already hooked it up for you. And he did. Donkey Kong Country and Super Mario All-Stars with Super Mario World, and man, that was a peak childhood moment right there. You know, used to, before the internet destroyed all physical media as we know it, you could just rent games. You didn't have to go buy them. You could just go to a Blockbuster, which were everywhere, or you could even go to a grocery store, and they had rentals there. And you could just try games out for like $5, and sometimes you could beat them in that rental period, and it was really nice. And because you physically owned your games, you could just trade them with one another. I still, to this day, associate people with the games that they had. Like, I was the kid that had Diddy Kong Racing. My neighbor had Turok and 007 GoldenEye. Then my other neighbor had World Cup 98 and Mario Kart. And then my across-the-street neighbor had Ocarina of Time. And I used to play on his Ocarina of Time file, and I wouldn't even save Hyrule. I just wanted to go bass fishing. And that says how good that game was. You can't make that up. When I was in 7th grade on my birthday, I came home from school, and there was an Xbox sitting on my bed with Jet Set Radio Future. Xbox wasn't like even on my radar. My dad just got it for me. Thanks, Dad. That week at school, a friend handed me an Xbox magazine demo disc, and he said, "You have got to play this game." It was Halo Combat Evolved, and the only level was the Silent Cartographer. The Silent Cartographer is probably the best level ever made. I think a big thing that's kind of missing today are these real life experiences with games that are kind of few and far between. Like couch co-op and split screen are kind of an afterthought these days, and you can no longer just be the best kid in your neighborhood at a game or the best kid in your class. Because everything's online, it's like you're competing against the world. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. This was such a good time to play video games. If you went to my high school and were in marching band before the football games on Friday night, everybody would drag their TVs and Xboxes into the band hall and have a LAN party. When I was in 8th grade, my parents would help out with the high school marching band because my older sister was in it. This guy, Tyler, I joined the game and I was the only one that was able to kill this guy, and I got 2nd place. And when everything was over, everyone was like, who on earth was that other guy? And it was me, the 8th grader. I felt really cool. Eventually, I started playing World of Warcraft. I used to make fun of my friend for playing the stupid cartoon game until I played it for myself. Man, one night I played a Tauren Shaman at his house until like 3 a.m. The next day, I realized that my computer at home couldn't run the game, so I convinced my parents to get an iMac so I could edit videos, which would also run World of Warcraft. You know, something about World of Warcraft that a lot of people don't think about is, at the time, it was the most immersive chat experience on the internet. Sure, you had other MMOs like EverQuest or Ultima Online, but man, Warcraft had mass adoption. People say that the decline of Warcraft was because of the expansion Cataclysm, but I say that the decline of Warcraft happened because people were getting that third space they got from Warcraft from somewhere else. Like, they no longer had to go to a big computer in their house and pay the subscription to get the same social experience they could get from Facebook or Instagram, and it was just all on their phone. Susan, the 34-year-old divorcee, was no longer telling you about her relationship in your dungeon party chat. Now she's on Facebook. So, 1994, 2012. Almost every game genre peaked in this window. First-person shooters, Doom, Halo, Half-Life, Call of Duty, RPG, Elder Scrolls, Final Fantasy, Pokemon, Dark Souls, Chrono Trigger, platformers, you got the Marios, the Donkey Kongs, Crash Bandicoot, RTS, StarCraft, Age of Empires, fighting games, Tekken, Smash Brothers, Street Fighter 2, horror games, all the good Resident Evils, Silent Hill. We even had Minecraft at this time. I remember, like, the beta came out in 09, 010. Me and a friend played that game, like, all weekend long at a kitchen table. So good. The only exception of genre peaking that I can think of is Battle Royale games. So I guess you win with that, Zoomers. All the games I mentioned, like, these set a foundation for like everything that we see today. There's a quote from Tim Rogers, who I consider to be the best video game reviewer of all time, and in his 3-hour Doom review, he has a quote that says,
"Video games have, and video games haven't, come a long way since Pac-Man. Yet, at the same time, video games haven't come a long way at all since Doom."
And I agree with this from like a technical standpoint, but also, like, I played the original Doom like a couple years ago for the first time, and man, that game still holds up. I feel like around 2010 is when this shift started to happen. Games started becoming more like services, feeling like jobs. Warcraft was doing this like well before then. You had the battle pass, you always had to be online. Sometimes updates would break things instead of fixing them. I'm not saying that games today are bad. Like, sure, there's still plenty of good games, but they're different. Also, this era wasn't just about genres peaking. This was also like the last stand of a certain type of studio. When the 2008 financial crisis happened in the US, it pretty much gutted like mid-tier development studios. Midway, who brought you Mortal Kombat, like NBA Jam, Cruising the World, they don't exist anymore. Pandemic, who did the original Star Wars Battlefront and Lord of the Rings Conquest, they got swallowed up by EA. You know, before then, there were a lot of like mid-range studios that were making, you know, fun, experimental, like sometimes janky games, and they really mattered. A lot of the games industry got scared about losing money, which, I mean, they should have, and they stopped taking risk, and they kind of veered off into this franchise era where everything seems to be a sequel today. But some games still have the sauce, the sauce. One of the most recent things I can think of is Warhammer Space Marine 2. Never played the first one, but man, that That is a good game. It's got a solid, like, campaign that respects your time. It's got a co-op mode and you just want to play all the different classes. And it even has a multiplayer that kind of just seems like an afterthought, but they put it on there anyway. It kind of reminds me of back in the old days when they would just tack on a multiplayer with any kind of game. Like Donkey Kong 64 had a multiplayer, which makes no sense at all. I still play new games. Like, every Wednesday night I'll get together with friends and we'll play like Fortnite or Fall Guys or whatever the latest flavor of the month game is on Steam. But man, the other day we hopped on Left 4 Dead 1 and that game still is so good. It still holds up to titles today. You know, getting older, beyond Wednesdays, I don't really play games that much anymore. Really, when only friends are in town. And when they do come in town, I really want it to feel like a good hang. It's part of the reason why I made this modded Wii setup, so I can just play like Mario Golf or NHL Hits or some other game you can just hop on with no internet and have a good time. And to me, games like that are what made 1994 through 2012 so special. Like, they don't care if you stick around forever. They just want it to be good. And a lot of them were. Thanks for listening.